Rip Mrs. Banana. Okay, I obviously wasn't gonna give up on Mrs. Banana that easy. In a previous video, I had the bright idea to send Mrs. Banana 5 million Orbeez and a dancing shark up to space. But we miscalculated how much helium the balloon needed to pop at the proper altitude, so it kept flying much longer than expected and got lost miles away from its predicted landing site. So I went and bought an even more expensive GPS tracker, maps printed out from Google Earth to triangulate Miss Banana's exact location, and even a trained scent tracking dog. Say hi, Luca. Okay, I lied. That's not a scent tracking dog, he's just my puppy. And besides treats, the only thing that he tracks is the squirrels in our backyard. So he'll honestly be useless, but at least he'll keep us company. I know I said twice we'd given up, but all I can think about is Mrs. Banana. All I can think about is Mrs. Banana, not my $2,000 GoPro setup. So this is our third and final rescue mission attempt. We got a cooler and lots of rations this time. Luke is loving all the new smells and sights. I think we found a shortcut. By some miracle, we found an alternate route that we'd never taken before that we'd later find out was super illegal to be on and the cops were gonna show up. But for now, we're blissfully driving in total ignorance on a much shorter route to Mrs. Banana. Using these directions that I printed out, we're making way better time than the last 2 times we've been up in these mountains. But we should have known things were too good to be true when we came to a closed gate that we would have to drive around. Not wanting to break any laws, we were worried we would have to give up again. But it turned out that the lock was still on the gate with the code in place, so I knew it was a sign we had to continue forward. It was almost like Mrs. Banana had a guardian angel watching over her. It's been a little while since Tyler left to get the truck. I hope he can find me. I was out here a while, so I got a net on me. Oh wait, here he comes. I honestly don't love being out in the forest like this by myself. No idea what kind of wildlife is out here. There's so many. I should have known when we saw this herd of elk that we were committing a major crime right now, and I was dumb enough to capture it on camera. Anyway, in our ignorance, we kept going, but hit another roadblock again. Once again, we are lost, so we got out to look. You want to walk this way?
Well, if that's the way you're thinking.
We unfortunately had to ditch the truck sooner than expected and started making our way on foot through the woods. I really thought we were gonna find it, but we're exactly where the GPS coordinates say to be, and it's not here. This is our final attempt. If we don't find it, I don't know if we will. We legitimately searched for another 2 hours. We were getting eaten alive by bugs, and I honestly started to realize I'm not really the outdoors guy I once thought that I was. I used to be a Boy Scout and spent time in all kinds of wildernesses on hikes and canoe trips, but you'd never know it by the way the bugs were having their way with me and the fact that I legit dropped a can of bear spray, which triggered it to spray right in my face. I knew if I was having this hard of a day, Mrs. Banana must be truly holding on by her last thread. We keep messing up the GPS coordinates. After searching for hours, crossing illegal fences, we were ready to give up. But then something completely unexpected happened. I see it. No way. No way. It's up in that tree. No freaking way. Mrs. Banana, we're coming. I can't believe we finally found her. It took us 2 weeks, 3 trips driving up into the wilderness, hundreds of miles back and forth driving, but it wasn't in vain because we finally found Mrs. Banana. However, our troubles had only just begun because we could not get Mrs. Banana down. So the parachute is in that tree, and then it connects over to this tree where the platform's hanging. The pole we brought wasn't tall enough, and us outdoor amateurs couldn't get the chainsaw to work, so we just couldn't get her down. Also, the chainsaw not working ended up actually being a blessing in disguise because at this point we were on protected national forest, and I'm pretty sure cutting down a tree would have been a felony.
A GoPro.
No way.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the waterproof one too. Mrs. Banana's still on there. You got this. Oh, nice. Knocked down. That was close. There you go, that's the idea. We haven't been able to get it down, but we were able to knock down one GoPro and Mrs. Banana. He's taking her to the car right now. Guys, I have a confession, and this is so embarrassing. So we legit could not get Mrs. Banana out of the tree, which was the most frustrating thing in the world. We tried everything, but we got the cops called on us. Tyler had also been running back and forth from where we had parked the truck, and he slipped while running on a giant log, and he fell right on his ribcage, and he was severely injured, and we just didn't have the tools to get her down. We could see Mrs. Banana in the tree, but I'm sad to report that she had already decayed. I had filmed this alternative ending. Get us the hell out of here. Hang in there, Mrs. Banana. Because I was gonna pretend that we did rescue Mrs. Banana, and we even brought another banana with us that looked just like her in case this happened, so we could film a surgery to show how we recovered her. But the truth is we did not, and after thinking on it, I realized I didn't want to become one of those YouTubers who just lies in my videos to my audience to get views, so I knew I had to face this harsh reality. I did not save Mrs. Banana. I failed her and her unborn baby, and the dancing shark we sent up there. And this is something that has haunted me every day since, and will continue to do so every day for the rest of my life. After finding the weather balloon, the only thing we actually retrieved was one GoPro that had fallen out of the tree, but everything else is still up in that tree to this day. This is so insane to me because it took us so long just to find it, and never in my wildest nightmares did I think that once we got there, we wouldn't be able to actually get her out of a tree. I'm sure a more agile, talented outdoorsman than myself would have been able to scale the tree and get her down, but we just couldn't figure out a way. It was so insanely high up and entangled in a web of trees. And what's worse, when we drove back to the bottom of the mountain, we had been blocked in by a truck, which turned out to be the owners of the property, and they did not want us to leave until the cops got there. Turns out they had had issues with hunters always being on their property, and they were thrilled because they finally thought they'd caught one. I wish I'd filmed all of this, but we were panicked because we thought we were going to jail for trespassing, so we'd put our phones away and any recording devices so that we could go over and talk to them. So I ended up explaining to them that I was a YouTuber searching for my lost banana, and they were furious thinking that I was lying, because how absurd does that sound? Until we showed them that we had no guns on us and definitely were not hunters. So then they looked at my YouTube channel to verify that I was a legitimate person, and then after the cops came and questioned us, they finally let us go free. They were basically concerned because they thought that we had cut the lock to the gate on the way up the trail, but I told them we didn't cut it, that it was left on the correct combination when we got there, and that we had taken the lock and secured it in our glove box to ensure that we didn't get trapped at the top of the mountain. They did not believe us, so one of them drove up to the gate themselves, and sure enough, they found the lock with the correct combination on it and knew that we were telling the truth and that we had left the lock exactly how we found it. I know this is kind of confusing, but there's basically gates all the way up to the place where we found Mrs. Banana. So after all that, they did let us go, but the owner insisted he would never let us on his property again. I called the sheriff's department a week later and tried to negotiate it to let us back on so we could save Mrs. Banana, but the sheriff got back to us and told us the owner didn't have the time to let us back on his property to rescue a banana, and he insisted he wasn't letting us back in for anything. Is the blood on his hands or mine? I don't know, but the one thing I do know for certain is that if I ever launch another weather balloon, I will triple check my calculations. I'm sorry for this disappointing video. Subscribe for hopefully better content in the future.